Okay, the acknowledgments. To my bride, Sherry, who has walked with me since 1989 through strength, failure, healing, and grace. This book wouldn't exist without your courage, honesty, and love. Thank you for staying when it would have been easier not to, and for believing in the man beneath the armor. To my children, Stephen, Autumn, Colby, Skylar, and Noah, thank you for the ways you've invited me to grow, repent, soften, and become more of myself. I'm grateful for who you are and for what loving you has taught me. And to Abigail, the one I have yet to embrace, thank you for showing me the boundless grace of God. To Michael, Tom, Gary, and the larger Zoe community, and especially to those who've trusted me with their sacred stories, thank you for creating spaces where men and couples can tell the truth and continue their journeys toward wholeheartedness. To those who've walked with me as guides and companions, who've listened without fixing, spoke truth without shaming, and reminded me to come home when I wandered, thank you. To the numerous authors, speakers, and guides along my journey who have influenced me, encouraged me to think beyond my own boundaries, and helped me to become more intimate with God, thank you. To you, the reader, if something in these pages feels familiar, tender, or hopeful, know that you're not alone. Thank you for joining me along the path, and may this book meet you gently wherever you are on the journey home. And to Jesus, my sovereign, my friend, thank you for meeting me in the places I tried to outrun, for staying when I hid from you, and for gently calling me home again and again. This book exists because you didn't rush my healing, shame my defenses, or abandon me when I was lost. I'm eternally grateful for your patience, your mercy, and your love.
With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoe's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful inns for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more.
Welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. Michael Thompson here, hanging out with Scott D. Jennings.
Yeah, that's me.
Known as SJ amongst all of his close friends. But before he was SJ, he was Scott D.
Douglas
Jennings.
D for Douglas.
And we're entering into a new 4-part episode series on the book that Scott D. Jennings wrote, which I'm so excited. So proud of you, bro.
Thank you. Thanks.
He's so excited to talk about you.
Yeah.
And so let me just hold it up now.
Yeah, available.
Available on Amazon.
And thelifeyoubuilt.com.
And thelifeyoubuilt.com. Scott D. Jennings. And so
I did Scott D. Jennings because there's some other Scott Jennings individuals out there. I want to differentiate myself from them.
Yeah. Differentiating is good.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, man. One of the privileges I've had, bro, of being your friend, walking with you for a long time, seeing you come full time with Zoe, with me.
10 years ago now.
I know, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
We got to find a picture to give Landon of 10 years ago us.
Yeah.
You know?
I've got a picture that shows up in my memories on a regular basis.
We'll get it to you, man, so you can show
when
that.
you came to the bridge in Goldsboro.
Yeah.
And we did a men's breakfast.
I remember that.
That was like 2007?
11? Oh, 8?
Yeah,
okay, 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. It was after I was already in the position of the men's
Because you've been with us
pastor.
10 years, but I think I've known you for 15.
Oh, yeah, 16, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
That's probably about when you came down there. But anyway, we did a men's breakfast.
Yeah.
And, there's no gray hair at all back then.
I want to see that picture. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah,
so
it's a pretty good one.
So I want to say that, Zoe was really birthed from my walk, my journey and the impact that John Eldredge had on me.
Yeah.
And one of the snarky, it was snarky. I don't go to Amazon much to look at any reviews, though from time to time it comes across.
Yeah.
And I see the number of reviews and the, stars and all that. One of the early reviews with Heart of a Warrior, which is 10 years old, was it was kind of snarky, and it was kind of a John Eldredge wannabe.
Yeah.
And do you remember that? And I thought, that's true, bro. I mean, you get it. You must have read the book, because
Right.
he was hugely impactful in my journey.
He launched me. Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think about with this book project that you've done, and it's such an accomplishment, I've told people, especially from our recent Heart of a Warrior encounter this past April, you and Josh. So here's how I've said it. Eldredge wrote a lot of music and sang it really well. And so I kind of became a cover band in some ways in that regard.
Sure.
And then after 5 or 6 or 7 years, the guys that we were kind of wild at heart guys in this area and beginning to move back in 2006 and 8, 9, 10, all that. So discoveries of my own started to really happen. Yes, John, and I was early in his career of writing books. So it wasn't just Wild at Heart. A few years later, it was Waking the Dead.
Beautiful Outlaw.
A few years later, it was Beautiful Outlaw. A few years later,
All Things New.
All Things New, right.
Yeah,
so
man.
here's all these books, right? And John, I am privileged. I was talking with Josh. His daughter is the oldest class in a school that's progressing. So they'll be the first freshman class.
Yeah, sure.
And that's how I was. I was a freshman in 2002, but every one of John's resources that came out had impact on me. And then in 2011, I wrote Search and Rescue from the kind of music, I say music as an illustration, metaphor of the kind of theology and the kind of walking with God that I learned from John. I started, exploring trails of my own.
Yep.
And so that's when Search and Rescue and then Heart of a Warrior and King Me came. And so I think of you and Josh, particularly from Heart of a Warrior encounter this last April. People have said, friends of ours, and even in the impact sheets with the first timers, it was phenomenal. It was such a great event, and myself, you, and Josh being the lead speakers, guides. I felt like this year, you and Josh both, particularly you, Josh too, though, have gone from kind of playing my music and singing my songs to writing your own music and singing it on stage. It's within the genre. And I already saw a review on Amazon about this book, and it said, "You're a Michael Thompson wannabe."
That is not true.
So
Who is that guy?
So we'll take a break and be right back
we'll be
on the
right back.
Exploring More podcast. Men, however you arrived at the Good Man series, curious, tired, skeptical, or even hopeful, you are welcome here. This journey, it starts with an invitation to slow down, an invitation to tell your story, and most of all, an invitation to listen. Listen for what God wants to reveal. At Zoe, we believe every man is asking the question, am I a good man? And we also believe that there is real goodness in men, placed in your heart by God, and it's worth fighting for. As you watch these sessions, bring your honesty, bring your courage, bring your whole story. God has been preparing for your arrival, and He's ready to meet you here. Welcome to the Good Man series. Welcome back to the Exploring More podcast, where things are mostly true.
Yeah.
Like before the break.
Yeah. Let's loosen the grip of what's false and embrace what's true.
True.
How
That's
about
right. It works. It works perfect. So,
I'm so glad you brought that story up, man, because what it makes me think about as you were sharing about Eldridge and your first book, Search and Rescue, I mean, it's the same genre of music, right? I love the music
that we play.
metaphor because it's really appropriate. So it's the same genre of music, and as you, what my experience has been, and I've watched you, embark on that journey of writing your trilogy of books now. You're in that same genre and you're playing that music, and yet when you first start to explore maybe composing some of your own songs, I felt a little contained, like I didn't want to stray too far from the source material and from what I knew was so good about it, right? So, and then as I journeyed, so this journey of this book really started in 2016, and I'll get into that in a second. But I think as you move along on the journey, you start to feel a little more freedom to go beyond the borders of your understanding of that genre of music.
Of course.
And start to do some different exploration.
Yep.
And so I've watched that in your journey and experienced that. And this is kind of, it's not the culmination because I'm still on the journey. Right. But it's definitely a pretty major mile marker on the journey of how do I want to say it? Being able to play with some freedom,
that's a good way to say it.
So all of that is, being able to do that. Our healing is such a big part of that.
Yeah.
I couldn't have written this book 8 years ago like I wanted to, or 7 years ago. But being able to spend that 7 years really recognizing that I still had a lot of work to do was very important. Yeah. So I appreciate what you're saying about feeling free to write some of our own music. And I want to say for me, that journey started 10 years ago on my birthday. And yes, the going to the weekends and, you and Tom and Gary and others pouring into me and learning from you guys had a lot to do with it. But God brought me that word vulnerability that I've talked about many, many times. So that's a mile marker. 2022, I had a lot of loss. God brought me the word grief. And going on my own exploration and offering that was kind of like in the middle, at the Encounter weekend, in the middle of playing the music of the weekend, most of which you wrote, I would kind of go off and do a drum solo
exactly.
in the middle.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And now it's more, I'm playing my own music.
Yeah.
That's still in the same genre.
With its roots and genre, And I think, to make sure we connect the metaphor for our friends, and we're talking about our theology, we're talking about our writing, we're talking about our teaching and speaking and guiding as an illustration of crafting, music and singing certain songs in certain ways, up tempo, slower tempo, all of those kind of things. But it's, when you look at an artist like that and you follow U2 or you follow Springsteen or you follow Coldplay or and you follow them long enough, I mean, there's, like we said with Eldridge, there's these books, and now we see John particularly in a later stage of his journey, lots of reflection, contemplation, and you go to the earlier seasons, back in early 2000, and it's a very much about warrior and war and
adventure,
and those things. So it's just a great example for how an artist evolves, and how that is reflected in what he sings or what he writes, and what he makes then available.
Yeah.
Because that's the crazy part about writing a book. It's a wonderful experience. It's not all fun and games.
Not all fun.
I have been able to mark my journey with, as you said, these 3 books and a lot of other things that we have written and co-written, and I mean you versions and lots of other things.
Yeah.
You know, you've written before you wrote, and yet and yet to have. I remember seeing you that day some months ago, when I'm trying to describe you. It wasn't I wrote a book, but I learned that a little bit earlier. But when it was done, you were in a posture and in a way like, it's done.
Yeah.
And kind of
That
like
means I have to put it
yeah,
out.
yes.
Yeah.
And then like giving it to me,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
here. He's
yeah.
like, here, yes.
Remember
Be-
remember everything we've learned over the years as you handle my heart.
Be careful with me. You know, it is.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'm not sure it's a naked thing, but you definitely are stripped down to
yeah.
your skivvies when you're giving somebody something you've worked on 10 years. And even more so in the last probably 2 years. But,
Yeah.
you know, and the other thing you said about 10 years I think is really important. And I want to go back to that day, that vulnerability, right? But, yeah, it was about 10 years for me from Eldridge exposure, Wild at Heart 2000 to 2011.
2015,
2011 Search
and
and
then
Rescue.
15 for the
And then
next book.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man.
So that's interesting. I haven't thought about it till you said 10 years, and I did the math in my head. Yeah, that is interesting to feel like you have something to share.
Yeah.
Does take, I think, a certain status, a certain longevity, a certain
Mileage.
Yeah, and we've talked about this, and it's not to be indicting of young guys, but you know, that doesn't mean a 30-something doesn't have something to say.
Of course not.
But I feel like there's so much more for somebody who is seasoned in walking in a particular direction, playing for a while, and then adventuring into what they feel like is an inspiration, literally an inspiration to maybe I could write something.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it's interesting that what's all the different examples in the different movies that we've seen. You know, who's the doctor in Field of Dreams?
oh yeah,
I can't remember the kid's name. He had some nickname, you know.
they called him Doc. But
But there was Shoeless Joe and this and that the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, he as an older doctor, you know, the little kid chokes on the hot dog. Everybody's freaking out. Call the ambulance. Get a helicopter. And he just walks
across the line.
Yep, but hits her a couple of times on the back, and she coughs up a hot dog, and that's just experience.
Yeah, he knew
Right.
what to do.
As a brand new graduate from medical school, I don't know if he would have known how to do that, but a lifetime of experience gives you a different perspective on things and an understanding. So I'm not saying I'm at necessarily even at that point that he was with that level of experience, but I will say that the journey of the last 8 years since I believe God brought me the chapter titles of this book.
Yeah.
The last 8 years of healing and growth and understanding and even motivation, you know, being free from the motivation of, hey, I wrote a book, to the motivation of, yeah, I wrote a book because I could not do it.
That's good.
And just bringing all that to the pages is just is different. And again, it's not that a 25-year-old can't write a book, but it's different when you much of what I actually really all of what I wrote about in this book are things that I've experienced
Sure.
and things I've walked through.
That's why the
and
longevity.
employed,
That's why the
right?
longevity, the long path.
And they've brought me freedom. They really have.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the life you built, and I love the subtitle, man. Loosening
the grip of
what's false.
I know you don't have your specs.
I don't.
On, so
Loosening the grip of what's false and embracing what's true.
yeah.
And yeah, what if, right? We asked this question at our weekends, asked it in our Good Man series. It's just a question we love to ask. What are the odds you've interpreted your life accurately?
Absolutely.
And across the board, men and women, zero.
Okay.
0%, right?
So then,
that means that if you haven't interpreted it accurately, then there's some inaccuracies.
right, and misinterpretations.
And then we take it a little further and say, well, what if we have believed things that aren't true?
Right.
That's the point of the question.
Right.
And I think you just as much as we move into that at some of our weekends and environments and retreats, I thought you really moved through that more with more what would I say, with more exploration, right? When I think of exploration,
a little deeper dive
in this field, there's two ways to go. You can use a microscope, or you can use a telescope.
That's right.
And you used both.
Thank you.
Getting into some of the weeds of this, as well as getting into, let me show you the vast, the stars. Here's the molecules. Here's the stars. I think it's just really important that we live in some of those tensions, and I thought you did that well in the book. So
yeah, thanks.
I'd love to. Anything else in writing and preparing before we kind of step into the looking at the parts of the book and
right. Yeah. No. I just thank you. I again I remember in 2018. The book is talks about the false self, the true self, and the Enneagram as a tool and a lens, right, to be able to see more clearly, like you said, the microscope. And I remember in 2000, I think probably 17, because we filmed the Rendezvous Project in 2018 in the fall, and we included an episode about or a session about the Enneagram. So I think it was probably around 2017 that the Enneagram found us, and we did some assessments, and it was really revelatory for Sherry and I in the context of our marriage.
Yeah.
And so as I at that point, I've been going to events on the team for a couple of years, but going to events for 9 years at that point. And it kind of came to me that the Enneagram could be a tool that we could utilize, a lens we could look through to help us, determine what is true and what is false about us, right? And what I mean by that is not that our true identity is based in what the Enneagram says. No, our true identity is based on what God says about us, right? But the Enneagram is not a tool to put you into a box like other personality tests. It's an assessment to help you to understand your glory and how it's been used by you and against you. And so to get you free from some of the things that you've arranged for using and used your glory for, right? We often talk about the false self as the you that's not you, and part of it is it's arranging for love, right? It's who do I have to be okay and to be loved?
Yeah.
And so using the Enneagram to shed some of that and help you to see, no, you are loved. And it's not that you're your false self and then you have to figure out how to become your true self. No, you're not becoming your true self. You are your true self. What we need to do is figure out what isn't you and unravel
Get it out
that
of the
from
way.
what's
Yeah,
really true.
and get that out of the
So
way.
all of that kind of, I thought, man, that could be great. And I rattled off the chapters of the book right away. Took me the sections and all of that, and they're exactly the same as what I wrote 8 years ago. And then I shared it. I think I shared it with you and Ashley and some other folks, and you guys were encouraging and excited about it. And then God just shut the door. Like, I just couldn't do it. I tried a couple of times, and it would not come out of me. Like, it just was stuck. And whether it was behind a door I had closed or a door that God had closed or some of both, I just couldn't do it. So I got frustrated and just put it aside and left it there. And then, like you said, about 2 years ago, I felt like God was starting to open that door again. And I had done a lot of work.
6 years.
I mean, yeah, man. Gone to counseling. We've talked about all that here on the podcast. But, and so then, yeah, once I started this time, it just
flowed.
Came all out of me.
And still, you know, it's a time. It's time. You know, it's a time.
It's a discipline.
There's certain things that kind of mark our journeys, and we've been journalers for a long time. Definitely note takers, and had many people contribute to our understanding of who we are, where we are, and the good that God's up to in our lives. Our real tenets at Zoe, and yeah, man, I think the this, you know, as we turn into the book and its content a little bit, why don't you just kind of read in light of an introduction. Yeah, just all the parts, if you would, just kind of roll us through
the different sections.
And each one, and then we're going to handle each one of these sections. So we'll come back and get chapter 1 through 4 in titles, but but just the sections, and then anything you want to highlight from the introduction, and then we can. Yeah, because I think there's some important pieces in how to read this book.
Sure.
You know, how you structured it. So yeah.
So the journey through the book, as I write here in the introduction, moves through different stages, right? So the first one's the bad news, and so let me just go back and say, Sherry helped me a ton with this. She's got a great editorial eye and flair for things. Certainly a grammatical, understanding of the English language. And she really didn't want me to use bad news and good news in the book. She wanted, me to soften it some or just say it differently. And I just felt really pretty strongly.
That's great.
That it is bad news. It's not good.
Yeah.
It is not good. Mm-hmm. And I know that resonates with you too.
It does.
You know, it's not. I'm not here to put the false self up in front of a firing squad. Okay, because I share about that not that in particular, but just the false self helped you, but it wasn't good, right? Or it got you, it arranged for things for you,
protected you,
helped you survive. It certainly didn't help you thrive, and it definitely wasn't good. So I was pretty set on we're gonna say bad news. So first we face the bad news. The honest recognition of how the false self has been running our lives and what it costs.
Yeah.
And then we move into the good news, right? Freedom and grace of living from the true self. Then we move into the Enneagram, not to categorize, but to illuminate how our false self operates and how deeply our motivations affect us. So the Enneagram is a great tool to help you understand your motivational centers, which is directly tied to your false self.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you said something earlier about the box, the Enneagram and the box.
Yes.
Say it again so I can interrupt you.
Okay.
While you do.
Yeah. Most of the personality tests that I've taken, Myers-Briggs, there's a multitude of them.
Oh yeah, Taylor Johnson. There's a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of them in the marketplace and I'd say more secular world. But there's a lot of them in the faith
Oh, there
spaces
are.
as well
Sure.
that have found their way
Yeah.
to
Into utilization. by
utilization.
different-
Right.
different
So
groups.
go ahead.
But the thing I never really, or what I can look back and see about those tests now, and I call them tests on purpose, is that they're if you're a person like I am, they're pretty easy to manipulate so that you get the result you want, not
Yeah.
the result that you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Right? So, well, what guy doesn't want to be seen as the lion? I don't want to be an otter.
That's yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that
So-
Gary Chapman or Towns? Who is that?
I can't remember which one it is.
It's one
but
of the
we
Christian
use that at
counselors.
Crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I answered the questions so I'd get the result I wanted. It's kind of like the sorting hat with Harry Potter. You can answer those questions and end up in whatever
Yeah.
house you want. So the false self was in the way of me actually getting the assessment results accurately.
Yeah, which is what we have discovered, that if your false self, which we believe is more dominant for a lot of reasons that we've
Yeah.
talked about on this podcast for many, many times, then to think that you're going to take it off and put it aside and take an assessment and get a real accurate reading, it's pretty convoluted. The reality is, if this is the life you built and now you're kind of stuck in it, and now it's taking an assessment, a test, it's going to could be giving you more of a false self reading.
Yeah, false negatives, false positives.
Yes, stuff
it's all
like
false.
all
is
like
the
that.
point.
So it's fascinating. And you said something about the box. I want to go back to that.
Right. So those tests are meant, in my view, to put you into a box. You're this, you're that. This is how you're going to respond to this. This is how you're going to respond to that.
Share this with your team.
That's right. So they know.
This is the way I am.
That's right.
Which is even building a crazy layer on everybody's handing out the results on their kind of their false self who took this assessment.
That's right.
And this is how I roll.
That's right. But what's different in my view about the Enneagram is that it really does help you get to the motivational center behind your behavior.
Yeah. Say what you've said in the past about the box. Because I've heard you say...
So there's a box.
The assessment...
That assessments like that personality test, they want to put you in the box.
Yeah.
The Enneagram helps you get out of it.
And shows you the box that you're in.
And shows you the box
That's what
that
I've
you're
heard you
in.
say many times.
That's true.
And I think...
I think I wrote that in the
How
book.
do I get out of... Yeah. How do I get free from? How do I get out of... If our personalities... it's another whole wonderful... If our personalities have been constructed in formative years and in seasons of our lives where the experiences we had taught us something. You raise your hand in second grade, you have the wrong answer, everybody laughs. I'll
never do that
You'll either
again.
never raise your hand again, or I'll always have the right answer.
That's right.
That's how valedictorians are made. And so that's just silly examples of reality of how this thing can go, and so I love that we've talked about the observation deck, but the awareness that you talk about, the seeing it, you have to see it.
Yeah.
You have to and that separates you from most of the sheep
Yeah.
in the herd. When you can begin
Or
to...
you're a little unplugged from the matrix, right? You
Yeah.
start to become more
in
Neo.
the progression of the book, you make it clear that, these are things you did to protect or provide, but there's an expiration date. And when you continue to use them into adult relationships, into marriage, into parenting, it's so broken down. It's just like running on 2 flat tires and a rim.
Yeah. It's misfiring,
It's not good.
Yeah, you're moving, but it's not good. Yeah.
And everybody with you.
Yeah.
And in that thing, that transportation, they're affected and impacted by it as well.
For sure. Yeah, man. Yeah. Thanks for circling back on that.
Yeah, I love this quote. The life you built didn't happen accidentally, right? Somewhere along the way, you learned what parts of yourself were safe to express and which parts were not.
Yeah.
Just another quote that support continues. It's not the same page, but these strategies worked. In fact, they worked very well. But over time, what once protected you became the identity you believed was you. And not to edit you, I'm saying, and what once protected you, right, from the hurt, now it encloses you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the walls that you build to protect yourself, and can I come out? Is it safe? Okay, it's safe. Or no, it's not. I mean, these actually start to become the things that get in the way of authentic relationships where, we find ourselves contractually negotiating.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
it becomes all transactional all the time.
And if you're right, which I know you are, and if we're right, which I know we are, then you've got two people with their assessments, right, wanting to be known, and yet this may not be it's not the most accurate version of you.
Right.
And yet now we're both beginning to move in friendship or in marriage with two false selves that it doesn't work. It's just it's a bad idea.
I mean, Sherry and I, when we got married,
yes.
I mean, I can look back on this 30-some years later, but one of the things the Enneagram helped us to see was not only, you know, our false selves in the way that they were manifesting. You know, I would get big and loud, and she would retreat, and she just thought I was angry all the time, when some of that, the true part of me is just intense.
Right.
You know, so that was very helpful. But when we got married, man, we were operating out of our false selves so deeply, we didn't even know what we were doing, obviously. And I firmly believe it's also a scheme of the enemy to kind of keep you entrapped in this thing. But I had convinced myself that I needed to be needed in order to be loved.
Right.
And I married a woman that convinced herself she would never need anyone. Yeah. So I go to her to try to arrange for some love. I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. I'll do anything you want me to do. I'll figure it out, because that's what I do. I figure stuff out. And she's like, I don't need your help. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And man, it was bad.
So
you
know, back to over a decade to write the book, and the exploration to even say what you have just been saying about you and Sherry. If you could have, would have even had a clue to that in your second year or third year of marriage and could start moving. No, this went on.
You had and
this went on, and it wasn't good.
It got worse and worse.
It got worse and worse.
Yeah.
Right. And so the fact that you can name it the way you did, I was somebody who, if I'm needed, I can earn your love, respect. I can help. Married to somebody like, I'm not going to need anyone, because
especially not a man.
That's how I protect myself from getting hurt or arranging for love where I'm the one, you know, who's gonna be what would I say about Sherry? I'm going to be the one who is in control.
In control.
So
absolutely. If you need someone, you're not in control of that situation.
Right. So it's diabolical.
It is diabolical.
Like you said.
Absolutely.
And the enemy's at work in all that.
Yeah, and I think there's the truth, you know, not to stray too far. This really doesn't go that far away from the context of the book. You know, going back to mileage.
Yeah.
You can start your car in the driveway and drive around the block, and it might seem fine. But when you take it on a 500-mile trip, you're going to see if something's not right, it's going to present itself. And so journey through life or journey through a marriage, you need a little bit of mileage maybe to even start to sense something's not quite right. But what happens is you start to sense something's not quite right, and you lean on your false self ways of arranging for things even harder to try to make it work. Or you do something, you know, crazy like I did, and you go have an affair and do all that stuff. But I think you have to have a little bit of mileage to start to sense that something's wrong. And what I've loved about our encounter weekends and kind of the observation over all the time that, 17 years I've been a part of them, I'm watching the population, the average age of the population at the events go down.
Down, yeah. Yes, it's true.
It started with, guys, the youngest guys there were probably 40 or 45 initially.
Yeah.
And they're they're getting enough mileage to sense that something's not right.
Yeah.
And now we're getting guys that are in their 20s and 30s. They're seeing it sooner that something's not right. And that's really, really, I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been, if I'd have listened, it would have been great to have it 27, right. Not 38.
Oh.
And so two things I want to hit as we hit this episode.
Yeah.
And this part one, I think that are really significant. And if we can talk for a few minutes about the false self and then about the observation deck.
Sure.
And so let's do it in that order. So off the cuff, let's take a swing at the false self. Mm-hmm. What by definition, speak to that just for a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, at our weekends we've shared it, and I think we've kind of created this amalgam of a definition over different speakers and guys that have shared over the years. But we refer to it as a defensive facade that's generated in order to arrange for love and safety and security, right? So it's a false version of you. It's the you that you create or is also created for you.
Yeah. Kind
of a combination of recipe ingredients there that wants to arrange for validation, all the ingredients of love: belonging, significance, validation, initiation, worth, all of those things. It's the you that is created, and you participate in that creation in order to arrange for those things.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's super good. I think you said something about it's the accumulation of these things over time that become more false self-dominant, meaning, when you hit the planet and here you are taken home, and now it's under the care of mom and dad and hopefully a family that is going to see you, right, and care for you and protect you and show you what love looks like.
Yeah.
So with that alone, you're already starting to see how the car's going to pull to the right.
They've got false selves.
They've got their stuff, and unless they've done their work or
over the years, that guy that came home to that, all the things you just described, unicorn.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
if it happened,
if it happened for him, maybe 5 guys that I've met over the years, and usually when I meet them, I don't believe them.
100%. Just met a guy the other day. Love all your stuff. But I really wasn't wounded. And then the next sentence I said, really, tell me about your parents. Well, they never told me that they loved me.
Yeah. Okay, just stop. Oh, bro, I love you. But what are you talking about?
But I know they did. I was like,
Oh, okay, and that wasn't wounding. All right. Good for you.
Saying. So. I mean, just even the disconnect of things like that. I wrote in one of the books, well, my parents never beat me. Okay.
Good.
That is good. And he said,
that's the mark?
And I don't know why I just said it. He said, I don't know. The guy said, I don't even know why I just said it. I said, well, there must be a reason that is what came out. So to become... What I love about what you did in the book and with the false self is you really invite the readers to be an analyst. Mm-hmm. And it's of your life.
Yep.
A color commentator. Could you watch this game and do you have the IQ and the ability to be somewhat objective.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
You have to,
because we live so close to our own stories.
Well, we don't understand the game. It's
And
like
we don't
when I watch cricket. I was just talking to one of my British friends the other day. I'm like, I have no idea what's happening.
Right.
It looks a little like baseball. He's like, it's nothing like baseball. I'm like, I know,
okay.
but I don't understand
Yeah.
how the game is played.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, the awareness
great.
part is definitely the first step.
Yeah,
But-
I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
I think I just missed it. Let me see where I had my notes that. Here it is.
Okay.
The observation deck. Here it is. So the moment you can see it, you're no longer fully inside it.
Correct.
This is a phenomenal idea.
Thank you.
When you can start to see the restrictions.
That's right.
Okay, now where before you just kind of lived restricted, but if you can, what is that? That makes me act or react, and so as we move into later episodes of this, I think those are the two things I want our friends and allies, listeners, to see, that in the life that you built, the bad news, right, is this false self exists, and several great pages to unpack that, and seeing it is really a critical first beginning.
No doubt.
And so this observation deck, can you, Tom was really critical early in the journey, and can you disassociate? That's what the observation deck is, the ability to separate yourself from the game film that is you. And I did that all through high school and college and after. Watching game film of you gives you a vantage point that's different when you're inside your body and
100%.
and moving and playing. And so that's what we mean by becoming a student, being able to be an analyst, be an observer of, and even that is coming awake to an idea that you can do that.
Right. That's right.
And the false self, I would add, is that thing that has an ongoing ability, not just an attempt, but the ongoing ability to make you small and in the center of the story.
Wants to keep you that way.
And because if you are in the center of your story and all the other things are revolving around you, you're in way too small of a story.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's false self-dominant.
No doubt.
Where it's about you, it's about arranging for or protection against, and when you can start to see that and how that's happening, I think that it was a great way to start your book. It's a great way to invite readers, I hope, to have that. Wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Those are the best.
Yeah, man.
You know,
you're playing at a different level when you start to be able to see that. I mean,
yep.
It's like you've talked about many times with athletics. You know, the progression when you're playing pee wee football.
Just run. Yeah.
You don't watch game film, but once you start to get into the latter half of middle school and high school and all of that, you're watching some film.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to, I know we're a little bit longer with this episode, but if you'll permit me, I'd like to land this episode by reading the acknowledgments from the book.
Okay.
Because no one ever writes a book alone.
No, they don't.
And I love,
it's a collaborative.
I've tried to model it as I've written this one, trying to say we wrote a book, because you did that really graciously with Heart of a Warrior and King Me.
I say that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stories in there are from our lives with other people. The mistakes I've made are in relationship, you know. So Go ahead.
If you don't mind, man, I just want to put this out there in the universe in my voice. I've had a lot of guys ask me if there's an audio book too, by the way. And I'm like, well, I could generate it really quick. He's like, no, you got to read it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, the acknowledgments. To my bride, Sherry, who has walked with me since 1989. Through strength, failure, healing, and grace, this book wouldn't exist without your courage, honesty, and love. Thank you for staying when it would have been easier not to, and for believing in the man beneath the armor. To my children, Stephen, Autumn, Colby, Skylar, and Noah, thank you for the ways you've invited me to grow, repent, soften, and become more of myself. I'm grateful for who you are and for what loving you has taught me. And to Abigail, the one I have yet to embrace, thank you for showing me the boundless grace of God. To Michael, Tom, Gary, and the larger Zoe community, and especially to those who've trusted me with their sacred stories, thank you for creating spaces where men and couples can tell the truth and continue their journeys toward wholeheartedness. To those who've walked with me as guides and companions, who've listened without fixing, spoke truth without shaming, and reminded me to come home when I wandered, thank you. To the numerous authors, speakers, and guides along my journey who have influenced me, encouraged me to think beyond my own boundaries, and helped me to become more intimate with God, thank you. To you, the reader, if something in these pages feels familiar, tender, or hopeful, know that you're not alone. Thank you for joining me along the path, and may this book meet you gently wherever you are on the journey home. And to Jesus, my sovereign, my friend, thank you for meeting me in the places I tried to outrun, for staying when I hid from you, and for gently calling me home again and again. This book exists because you didn't rush my healing, shame my defenses, or abandon me when I was lost. I'm eternally grateful for your patience, your mercy, and your love.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think of the acknowledgments I got to write of that. It's almost ceremonial. Like if you were at your funeral,
Mm-hmm.
right? I heard this from my editor friend Bob. If you were at your funeral, what would you say to them in attendance?
Yeah. How would you acknowledge their role in your life?
Exactly.
Yep.
It's like, whoa.
Yep. That was I would say, I wrote those last.
Yep.
And I would say that was, an interesting experience writing the acknowledgments. There was a ceremony to it, as you described.
Yeah.
A solemnity and just honor.
Yeah.
So thank you for your role in making this book happen, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. It's good. It's good. I'm looking forward to continuing as we look at the life that you built and in these next episodes. So you can find it on
a couple different places. You can look it up on Amazon. If you go to thelifeyoubuilt.com, you can find it there. And I think we're trying to get it on the Zoe Outpost as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then Kindle?
Yeah, it's Kindle on Amazon.
That's right.
Kindle, paperback, hardback.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, good.
Audio book to come.
Audio book to come. Yeah, get your voice out there. So, hey, thanks for being with us on the Exploring More podcast, episode 1 down in this 4-part series of The Life You Built by Scott D. Jennings.
That's me.
And we'll see you next time on the Exploring More podcast.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoe.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the Life of More by visiting Zoe on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoe on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.